What's up, Fish Fam, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. That helps the channel greatly. Today we're going to do an update on Kalkwasser since I've been running it for a little while now. I think I got a good feel for, to an extent, what was working, what wasn't working, and how much the corals like it. Because let me tell you, I'll show you guys some close-ups. The corals are loving the Kalkwasser. I've got a ton of good growth, polyp extension in just about every coral type, SPS, LPS. I mean, I don't think the softies care one way or the other, but my acropora especially are looking amazing. Let's get into it. So first I want to give you guys a quick overview on what we were doing. We are dosing Kalkwasser to pH now. I did switch to Kalkwasser after starting the calcium reactor for a while because of the depressed pH, but I wasn't dosing it to the pH set point. I was trying to maintain my alkalinity. After seeing a live stream featuring Chris Meckley from ACI, I decided to try dosing to pH like he does. And it's been great. The only curveball I've hit so far, and I'll show you guys a little bit more in a sec, is that I had some issues with the calc stir. I at first thought was maybe Chris is right. You need to have a reservoir full of saturated calc and the stir is not going to work. I'm not confident that was my problem. I just got off of it just to eliminate that variable. I was suddenly having issues where the pH would climb and then it would drop sharply and never quite come back up. And suddenly I'm dosing calc 24/7 instead of for roughly 12 hours. Only when, because my pH wasn't coming up above 8.3s. So we ran into a little trouble with that. And I'll show you guys, I ended up switching to a calc reservoir. I had a 30-gallon brute left over from my old mixing station that I then decided to turn into a calc reservoir. So that gave me 30 gallons of calc. So I don't have to be on top of it too much, which has been good. And that didn't quite solve my problem. It then turned out I was recalibrating my Versa that does the dosing over and over and over again, thinking it wasn't maintaining because the level in the sump was dropping, the ATO was kicking on, and it really shouldn't. I discovered the date and time were wrong. For whatever reason, I don't know if it was a mistake on my end, there was a blip. The date and time was about 15 hours behind. And for some reason, the Versa thought it was maxing out its maximum daily allowable dose in the middle of the afternoon. Or at random times, I guess, because it wasn't an even shift, it would be at a random time. So it was not dosing. That might have actually been the problem. I corrected the date and time, and as you can see from my graphs, this thing is spot on. We've got a real tight range now, averaging 8.3 in a 24-hour period. It's doing great. So let's take a look at some of the corals. I know it's going to be hard to tell on the video here, but if you look at this Walt Disney, you can actually see the polyps kind of flowing, almost like a millipora, just how long they are. And this is a millie next to it. And now it's got all these nubs that have begun coming out of where it's encrusted. And I think in a couple, I wanted to say weeks, maybe months. I think it'll be sooner than I expect. Some of these are going to look amazing. Then we've got this big guy up here. Well, there is I see a branch coming off that lower left section of where it's encrusted. I mean, these are all, that big guy back there, it's going to be harder to see, but these all love the Kalkwasser. You can see just how much is encrusted here. I've got layers on layers of Montipora. This Hollywood Stunner needs to go. It's a problem. It's a good problem, I guess. Like, I got to do something about this. It's actually killing the Montipora in some places. So I guess if I had to say, if Kalkwasser works, yeah, it definitely does. This is the best worst problem I've had with my fish tank, I guess, is just some of this wild growth. It's too much growth. I've got pieces of Montipora falling that have just encrusted where they landed. I don't know what to do with. So if you're local, I will literally give you frags. I do not care. I need to make some room here. So yeah, this stuff works. And I'll show you my setup again real quick, but I've got no issues here with Kalkwasser. None whatsoever. And I'm dosing like almost 2 gallons a day now. There's the clam. You can see that nice bright white. Oop, actually, it getting startled is actually helpful for seeing it. That's all new shell growth. That white underneath the mantle. And right here as well, if I hopefully it focuses that close. Yeah, that is all new shell growth. And it was not doing that initially. Now that it's got this nice, I don't want to say this stable pH. It's definitely more stable. Maybe like 8.25 to 8.35, which I guess is more stable than it was. It used to swing from like 7.8 to 8.1, 8.2 sometimes. But, oh man. I didn't even get this close of a look before. This makes me so happy. Wow. So here's the small change we made to the setup. Since we eliminated the stir, I just took this line. I got plenty of slack because it was in the RO reservoir right over there. I pulled it out, and then I made this quick Kalkwasser reservoir for my old mixing system. This bulkhead fitting here connects to, hopefully we get enough light in here, a piece of soft airline tubing, which then goes into a piece of styrofoam that is floating, and then that piece is pushed in it. It's like an inch below the surface. So it's taking the clean supernant, which is the clear liquid, since I'm not dosing calc, milk, or slurry yet. We'll see about that one. So this is constantly getting the clear liquid near the surface just underneath. And it's got a little PVC beneath it so that when it sinks to the bottom, it shouldn't suck up the whatever fell out of solution, or never made it into solution, I guess. I do need to get a bigger piece of styrofoam. As Chris Meckley says in the live stream about it, it should cover as much of the surface area as possible, because this crust you see is from the Kalkwasser reacting with the CO2 in the air. So I keep the lid on it always with just a small hole right here, as you can see, right there. Just enough so that it doesn't pull a vacuum, so that the containers doesn't lose any structural stability, doesn't get sucked in, but limit, it's not free-flowing air exchange. It's just a little air as the level drops, but I'll still make that bigger. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in this time for my little update on the Kalkwasser. As you guys probably noticed, the algae is looking much better as well, but that'll be a separate topic. If you haven't already, click the like and subscribe buttons. That really helps us out over here. And leave us a comment if you'd like to discuss Kalkwasser a little further, or if you have anything else you'd like to discuss. Catch you guys next time. Casual reef keeping.